Yo guys, what is going on? It is Invin here and welcome back to the channel. Today what I'm going to be talking to you all about, as you can see from the thumbnail and title, is New World being back, and that is both literally for myself. I am now back to YouTube, so appreciate you all for sticking around. In the time that I've been off, been working IRL, and then I got hit with COVID just last week, so starting to get a bit better now. Thanks to all for your kind messages on Twitter and such. We're back into the action, and so that is literally for me. But also, we are looking at this from a perspective of the game is coming back into its own in a lot of great ways. And over the past sort of month since I haven't uploaded, we've seen some pretty big changes as well as some really big announcements. And those are going to be stuff that I wanted to touch on in today's video. Now, as you guys will be able to see from the gameplay in the background, there is some pretty big changes coming in the form of the first expansion, and that's going to be related to the Greatsword and the Brimstone Sands update as a whole, which we're going to touch on, as well as some of the more upcoming things in the most recent days, such as the group finder, which now we've seen, of course, which is going to link into the brand new expedition that also comes with Brimstone Sands, which is going to be the Iliad. So there's a lot of exciting stuff to look at here, and of course the first and most important one is going to be the Greatsword. You guys can see these from a lot of the clips in the background. I'm going to play these through a few times for you all so that you can kind of get to grasps with what's going on, so they will repeat. So if you miss something, don't worry, it'll come back onto screen in a little while. And basically what we can see from the clips is this weapon does a huge amount of damage. Now, it was explained in the dev update video that this is going to be a strength and dexterity based weapon, which is very, very interesting. It follows suit with things like the sword and the shield. The bow obviously is a dexterity one, something like the hatchet or the spear though, which is again the dual stat. So we are going to be able to see that, so you could see mixed builds like that. We could see a dexterity one like I mentioned, the bow, or maybe a straight strength build with things like the great axe or the warhammer, and it is going to lead it to a really, really cool place. I have had a little bit of hands-on experience with this in the PTR. I'm still going through the leveling phase and actually playing through with this, but it is really, really fun to use, and I'm going to bring you guys a really, really good updated video on that very, very shortly, which is going to go over the Greatsword, what it actually uses, what abilities you've got available to you, and kind of the best things that I've found about it so far, which should be coming to the channel very, very shortly. Now, on top of that, of course, they have revamped the whole leveling process, which is not something you can see too clearly from the clips here, other than maybe some of the areas that you can see revamped. This is, of course, all throughout the PTR, and is not just in the Brimstone Sands. For example, Monarch's Bluff, Everfall, all the different locations around the map have actually had a big kind of redesign of the entire area, and it looks amazing. This is really, really cool, as well as some of the outside areas of the map, you know, places like where there was just bandit camps or little like mobs roaming around. There's now tents everywhere. There's now big upgraded areas of architecture, which make this whole experience fantastic. And what they've said in this video again in the dev update was that they plan to continue this throughout the entire leveling process and whole game, eventually after they've got the feedback from this PTR on the initial start that they've done. And so far it seems like a lot of people are really, really enjoying it. So if you have played this yourself, do let me know down below in the comments what you think into it so far. Is it fun? I think this is really, really cool. Now let's get on to the big bulky thing that we're all thinking about. It's going to be the Brimstone Sands update itself, and of course the actual expansion of the area. Now, what we're expecting is a massive, massive area. Again, they mentioned that it was going to be worth 2 to 3 of the current zones in one big zone, so it's going to be a huge, huge area. I know there has been some people who have managed to get into Brimstone Sands on the PTR. I haven't actually got into it yet myself, just been kind of leveling up and stuff anyway, so I haven't tried to do it too much, but there is some people who've managed to get a quick glimpse. We've seen some things like the big sandworm, which looks insane, and I really, really want to get hands on, have a look at that, and maybe try and fight him if that's a possibility, or maybe, like a lot of content creators have suggested, this is potentially something we're going to see in the future, but it's just a little teaser to it now. Either way, very exciting stuff. The capital city looks fantastic. There is a lot of really, really cool architecture in this new zone, as well as lots of brand new mobs. There's not just reskins, there's actually brand new mobs, completely different to what we've seen before, in both the form of ancients, in the form of scorpion type creatures, as well as some other wild creatures that again you guys can see from the clips. And also we're going to see the ancients and the corrupted kind of be the main two factions here from what it looks like as well in these clips, kind of the corrupted Roman army, and the ancients obviously being the skeleton type ones that are there from the beginning of whatever type of era New World is in, and we think that they are probably the original ones that inhabited the Isle of Eternum. So this is quite an interesting thing, and if it goes into the lore a little bit more, obviously we're expecting to see that a bit more in September's dev update. and obviously once we unlock the area to be playable properly in the PTR, then we can test this out, but that is looking like it's going to be very, very fun indeed. Now, of course, with this update, we are expecting to see a whole host of other changes and things added to the game. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, we do have a new expedition coming in the form of the Inead, which looks insane. Again, some of the clips in this video in the background you will see are actually a part of this expedition footage that we've got so far from the dev update video. It does look really, really cool, and again, something that they always seem to hit the mark with in New World is, of course, the game design and the level design look incredible. So this should be a really, really fun one. Again, we don't have much information on this as of yet, but when we do get more, of course, I will bring you guys an update here on the channel. But overall, it is looking absolutely insane. The changes that they are doing, just to touch on a couple of them, they're really looking into wars. Obviously, that has been re-instanced with 1.6.5 update, which was just a few days ago. So they are now all instanced, but they are looking into shell companies and how to make territories a little bit fairer so that all of them are actually worth having rather than just Windsward or Everfall, depending on your server. And also they're kind of doing things to prevent, shell companies, like I said, and one company kind of dominating the entire map, which is great. That's obviously something that needs to be addressed. Now, another thing that I want to touch on is the potential increase in server capacity. That's going to be something we're seeing in the short term. On Twitter, we saw a post from Katie, who is one of the developers for New World, and she tweeted out that they've increased one of the server capacities to 2,500 players. Now, this isn't necessarily going to be something they follow suit with initially on every other server, but it does mean there is the possibility for us to go up from that 2,200 or 2,250 all the way up to 2,500, which again would be nice, although like I've just seen a video by Jay Oddity and he kind of mentioned there about maybe the resources are a little bit sparse for that many players. It's already quite a battle to get hands on, so we may have to see how that actually plans out, and maybe we need to see an increase to respawn rates or more nodes added even further from the previous editions, because I think if they are going to permanently keep these numbers up and maybe increase them ever further, which is of course great for player numbers and balancing and kind of fighting against people and more competition, all that good stuff. But yeah, the resources and stuff will take a hit with that, so we'd need to see some sort of balancing line there. But it is looking promising. Lots of great stuff. Like I mentioned, the group finder is now been into full fruition. I've been using this a lot when I've been playing, and it's really, really helpful. So this, going forward with obviously future expansions, the first one being Brimstone Sands, is going to be fantastic. It is really helpful. It helps new players get into it, but it also helps the endgame players like myself to just be able to jump into an M10 with people of the correct gear and gear score, and just be able to zoom straight into it, get that knocked out, get the crystals, get the shards that we need, job done. Great loot, off we go, and that's kind of where we're at, which is fantastic. Really enjoying the new mutations that they've added as well. So this game is really starting to take a very, very positive turn, and I think there's a reasonable amount of hype behind the update and the stuff that is coming to the game, and it's pretty clear to see why. Now, just to quickly touch on the post that we have received about the PTR itself, obviously this was posted a few days ago, but it is about having a revamped starting experience in the Greatsword. Obviously, for those of you that have tuned into the PTR to test this out, you will have already seen this. For those of you that haven't, you can jump onto that at any point if you do wish to do so. Essentially, you're testing out the revamped starting experience. Like I said, I've been going through this slowly at my own pace. This is actually really, really good now. The changes they've made have made a huge difference. I'm only about halfway through. I would say I'm around level 15, 16, something like that. So I need to finish off getting this all the way done. However, it is a lot of good fun so far. I've really enjoyed using the Greatsword, and I think it's a great addition. If this is continued throughout the whole game, we could be seeing this at a very positive standpoint. Now, as well as this, obviously the Greatsword itself, like I said, I'm going to bring you guys a whole video dedicated to explaining this weapon, kind of what perks, what abilities, etc. it has, but it is a lot of fun. You've kind of got the two modes, which are the Onslaught tree, which is kind of offensive attacking tree, and then the Defiance tree, which is aggressive defense. Now, actually, of course, as with every weapon in New World, embodying different parts of both of these trees really does help for the main success of the weapon. With the Defiance tree specifically, you get a lot of abilities which kind of go for counter attacks. So if people attack you whilst you're using certain abilities from this, you kind of fire damage back towards them. So that, paired with some of the Onslaught abilities where you can then be the aggressor, gives you a really good niche opportunity where you can use this weapon for being kind of an off tank, or you could use it for being kind of an assassin type DPS style role, both of which are easily obtainable, and I've been using this as kind of a DPS style weapon, and it's been a lot of fun. So again, I'll bring you guys a video updated on that, but it is a lot of fun. If you haven't tried it out, like I said, strength and dexterity, jump in the PTR, have a go with that one. It is great. Now, we are expecting to see PTR access officially to Brimstone Sands coming in a couple of weeks' time. So again, once we get hands-on with that, I'll bring you guys all of the updated info that you need to know. But one of the main other things that we haven't seen on here, but we have heard about, is of course the ultimate abilities and the Runestones that are going to be added to the game. Now, both of these things are very, very exciting, and I'm going to go into depth in another video, again, breaking these down, what they exactly are and what you can expect. But essentially, it's going to be like an ultimate ability for your weapons in New World, and the Runestones are going to give you certain abilities on armor and weapons, which combine two of the factors. So, for example, let's say right now you've got the Ruby Gem, which gives you fire damage, but it also gives you fire absorption. Some of these Ruby Stones will give functions such as both of those abilities or both of those passives being active at once. So this is certainly something which a lot of players are going to want to get hands-on with, and if it is something you've got a lot of experience with in the PTR, then let me know down below in the comments which is the best kind of Runestones and stuff that you've experienced so far, which are the ones you're expecting to be kind of the top priority for players. I've got my eye on a few and I'm testing a lot of them out, so we'll soon find out which ones these are, but yeah, there's some very, very good and interesting stuff on its way to us very, very shortly. Now, hopefully you guys are as excited as I am for this update and the coming updates for New World. There's some really, really cool and exciting things on the way, and I think it's true to say that New World is officially back. Lots of hype, lots of excitement, and the content we've got right now is fun and exciting, and we've got more on the horizon. It's been optimized. We're getting loads of quality of life changes. We're getting loads of experience changes that just upgrade the player experience, which is absolutely fantastic. And having not played for about 3 weeks, coming back to the game, it was a really, really fun time. So I would definitely recommend it. If you've been away from the game for a while, jump back in, give it a go, see what it's like before this update comes out, because even now it's a completely different game with lots and lots of cool things added that were needed from the start that have now kind of been implemented thanks to player feedback and developers feedback and such, and we've now got to a point where this is a really, really fun game, and certainly ahead of the Brimstone Sands update it's worth jumping in. But if you want to wait until that update, of course, by all means do so, and that is looking like it's going to be a fantastic point to jump in as well, because we're going to be getting some pretty cool additions to the game. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know down below in the comments. Drop me a like, drop me a subscribe, and let me know what you're thinking towards the Brimstone Sands update expansion type thing as a whole. Are you excited? What are you looking forward to the most? Are you going to be using the Greatsword? All that good stuff. Let me know in the comments. And other than that, I will catch you guys again very, very shortly on a brand new upload. Thank you very much. Take care and peace.